Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Bear DeGidio, and we are back with another episode of the JAXXON podcast. And today we have a very special co-host, the one and only, a world champion, a model. Some would say they call him Mr. Steal Your Girl down there in Colombia, Luke Rockhold. It's good to have you on here.
What's up, guys?
It's a pleasure to see the calmness and the humbleness of you when you walk in here. It's a new Luke. I love this here. I love what we're seeing here. And then we got one of the youngest stunners, one of the rising superstars in the UFC, a man who's paved the way, been fighting professionally since he was 17 years old. The one and only Mr. Hoop. Chase Hooper, ladies and gentlemen, straight off a flight from Dubai.
Abu Dhabi, same.
Same.
Yeah.
But different. Same, but different.
Glad to be here.
Hoop nasty.
Hoop nasty. Yo, it's great to have you on the podcast, bro. I know it's been a minute. We've been trying to get you on here, but I don't think the people around the world know this kid's like 24 years old. He's been fighting professionally since he was 17 years old.
I can't believe how big he is. I walked in here, I was like, this kid, my recollection was like down there like 45, I believe. But you look like a 70 pounder.
Yeah, I mean,
He's at least. I was like, is this guy in my weight class? What's going on?
yeah. Last time I was out training with Wonder Boy, we were within like 5 pounds of each other.
Yeah.
You know,
you got a very Wonder Boy style. Like I was in there mixing it up with you in the back here, and you're taking a lot of notes.
Yeah, I mean, I went out there. I mean, I go cross train there a decent bit with them. I like letting those guys kick me in the head and all that. But I don't know. I feel like I got like a similar body type to him, so I try to be a little longer and try not to get hit. But you know, that's always the goal. But I don't know. In the fights, I end up just brawling a little bit because I want to grapple. But yeah, I try to fight a little longer, but it doesn't always work out.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on there.
I love it. You're 24 years old. You've been fighting professionally since you were 17. Let's kick off with this with the Contender Series. You're an alumni. You're I think you won it, right, in 2018. Yeah. So I want to kind of just jump off the break. How do you fight professionally at 17? Your parents got to write a little slip and send it to school like, hey, he's going to be cutting out early to go fight someone. Like, how does that even work?
Well, I actually I think it's probably been long enough that I wouldn't get any legal trouble, but I fought on a lot of the casino shows. And sometimes for the waivers, like, cause my parents wouldn't be there. A couple times I had my buddy like sign for me. He was my like legal guardian or whatever. So he signed
like the most innocent kid.
Yeah. You're so nice. I can't believe you do that.
Yeah. And then, the casinos, they brought me in the back door and then like the security would escort me out after the fight. The first couple times they like let me wander on the floor cause they didn't know. And then, like I still get carded all the time. I look like I'm still 17. So, they wisened up and then, they kicked me out after the fight. But, yeah, I mean, it worked out. I couldn't get licensed. That's why I had to fight at all the casinos and all that. So it worked out.
How'd your mom feel about that?
I don't know. I'm not super close with my parents, just kind of, I was actually on my own at 18, like paying all the bills with just fighting like that. That's been my only source of income. So, I mean, there were some close ones, like literally my Contender fight. I had like $30 in my bank account. It was me and my girlfriend and now wife at the time just paying the bills. So, it was a hell of a journey, and we just kind of skidded in there, but it's a lot better now.
100%.
Wow,
that's the way that rolls a lot of times.
Yeah, I love the drive. The relationship with your family. Not to get too deep into it, but is that what made you want to fight so young?
I mean, I think so. I think most people that fight, there's something wrong with them. Not a ton of normal people are like, what sounds like a good idea is cage fighting. But I started training when I was a little kid. That's probably one of the best things my parents did for me was letting me do jiu-jitsu and all that.
How early? When did you start?
I started doing jiu-jitsu when I was 8 with the same coach I have today. He brought me literally from day one to the UFC to, going out last week there, doing a grappling match in Abu Dhabi, came from a small town and I'm here on the world stage now. So it's a hell of a journey.
You did the ADXC, that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Aljo.
Yeah. That was a great time.
Aljo, huh?
Aljo.
Oh, nice.
Hey, I heard Aljo got in trouble because he tweeted at you like, hey, yo, I don't feel like cutting weight. Can we just meet at 170 or something? Is this true?
Yeah, I guess somebody with the promotion got mad at him. I don't know. They had to change their graphics or whatever. Somebody got mad about it that he tweeted it instead of just asking them on the side. But I was happy. I was cutting weight for that a little bit. Just, trying to get shredded for the cameras and all that. Didn't quite manage it, but, I got close.
How did you feel Aljo's grappling was?
Honestly, I was kind of bored in the match. I was hoping that, like, I'd rather have somebody try to, like, sub me out than just kind of, like, hold me. But, you know, it is what it is. That he's a world champion. He's a world-class guy. He's what, number 13 still on the pound for pound list. So, you know, I lost like a split decision to him. So I can't, you know, fault myself for that. Dude out wrestled Cejudo. You know, he was one of the top guys for a minute. And I mean, he's about to, you know, get back up there at 45. So it was a great experience and a free trip to Abu Dhabi.
A free trip? Well, hopefully it was a paid trip.
Paid trip. Yeah. I know.
I think I told you the exact same line last night at dinner. I said, wait, was it free or did you get paid?
Yeah. That's a little better. It's a little better for sure.
And then you went to Ferrari World. What'd you do out there? What'd you do for fun at 24 years old in Abu Dhabi by yourself?
I'm not much of like I mean, you can't really drink out there because it's like a Muslim country. I mean, there's places, but
You're not much of a drinker? Or?
No, I'm not. But I also wasn't gonna, you know, test my luck out in a country where it's like illegal to drink alcohol, you know, on the streets. So, you know, we went to Ferrari World. That was all right. You know, I mean, it's any other theme park.
They let you drive Ferraris?
No, somebody told me, they're like, oh, you can drive a Ferrari around the track. And then we got there and it was just, you know, like Disney World, but red. And I was like, it sucks.
You got that in Vegas. You can go to exotic racing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Some good racing out there. You can do that.
Is it true though? I heard another rumor that Aljo got in trouble because he tried to walk off the beach with no shirt on or something. It's illegal.
Yeah, because they're again like a Muslim country. It's crazy strict over there.
Got it.
Well, I guess they're on the more like liberal end of the Muslim countries, but it's still like they tell women like don't wear crop tops and like all that type of shit. But you know, so we got some stuff like for my wife to make sure that she was like kosher, or I guess I'm not kosher. You know, they're not really down with that, but
That's
but yeah, no, I guess like you can have your shirt off on the beach, and then as soon as you step onto the boardwalk, there's literally like security people being like, put it back on. And if you don't, like they'll arrest you, they'll fine you, whatever. And like, I'm not trying to fuck around like that in a country that I don't know.
Did Aljo get in trouble?
I mean, I imagine he put his shirt back on.
Yeah.
But
Aljo's the man.
What are the punishments? You know, in Singapore, they have the canes. They cane you.
What's that?
Oh, you don't know the canes?
No, I've been to Singapore. I didn't hear about this.
The canes. Some of these brutal. Like this kid was like tagging. This American kid was like famous for tagging out in Singapore, and they'd whoop the crap out of him.
For what? For graffiti?
They bend them over, and they have these canes, and they crack them. These crazy canes.
Like they physically hit
and
you?
like you can't spit. You can't spit in public. You can't you can't do a lot of things in public. It's a very clean, very weird like city. And
I like
and the punishment is kind of gangster. They come down and they just whoop that ass.
That's kind of cool. Maybe people, if
You know
they
what
did
I
that
mean?
in the US, they wouldn't be stealing out of CVS's every other week. So let's jump into the UFC and let's talk about you as a fighter. We have Luke Rockhold here. Obviously, everybody knows who he is. World champion. He understands the game. He's still training. He has fights coming up. And one thing when I said, hey, we have Chase coming, he's like, oh, I'm in. Put me in that one. I want to talk to him. Because he loves the science and the style of fighting, right? He loves understanding fighters. For me personally, I just want to know, I've seen you fight at lower divisions. I know you moved up. But what made you want to move up to 155 from featherweight? Because you were cutting weight. It seems like you had an easy time cutting weight. Is this a permanent move?
Yeah, no, I feel a lot better at 55. I got up to, you know, again, like my contender series fight, I was probably walking at 165, fighting at 45.
Got it.
That was my first time ever cutting weight, like to that low. Like I'd been fighting at 55, like, you know, just walking a couple pounds out, whatever. But again, UFC, you fight bigger guys, you got to drop the weight. And then, you know, puberty started setting in, you know, from 18 to now. So
He's like halfway through his career, puberty set in.
yeah, I mean, I bumped up to like, I got as high as like 95. And, you know, cutting 50 pounds, that's a hell of a cut. And like I literally would have to, like 2 weeks out from the fight, I would have to stop eating like food. I would just be drinking protein shakes, and I would have little like packets of honey and shit that I would eat before I would train. Like literally like 90 calories, just enough to train for like an hour. Yeah. And then I'd be back to being like lethargic. And I think, you know, it's just so hard to come back from that, you know, after, you know, weeks of killing your body. It's hard to come back from that in, you know, the 24 hours you have after weigh-ins. You know, because I was getting myself down to 65 and then cutting 20 in water from there. So, you know, it was just, didn't make a ton of sense to stay down there. So I moved up to 55. Feel a lot better. I look a lot better. And I feel like I'm performing a lot better. So it's definitely been the move so far.
Yeah.
I have to agree. I mean,
you saw him
like
when
I
you
said,
walked
he
in.
looks like
What'd
a
you think?
welterweight. I was like sizing him up. I was like, what is this? Yeah. It's crazy. I feel like some of the biggest guys in the game, in the fight game, come from 145 pounds. I mean, Max Holloway is gigantic on off season. It's crazy how big he is. It's just, I mean, your size.
Yeah, I mean, I met Max for
doesn't make sense.
my debut. It was his first fight with Volk, and I remember because I was still like, 170-ish walking around, and I was like, this dude's like me, but another 20 pounds bigger. Like he's thick, but he's got it down. He's got it down so pat, like making weight. So.
Do you like Luke, even for a guy like this, do you look at a guy and say like, okay, you're comfortable at this weight. Let's keep you at that weight. Or do you look at a guy and say like, hey, cause I know you train a lot of fighters up at the gym there with Kane and you guys have worked with a lot of fighters. How do you kind of, as a coach or as a fighter, look at a guy and say, hey, this is the weight you should be at? Like, how does someone dictate that in the UFC or MMA? Cause it's such a weird concept, right? You cut, but you're going to get it all back.
I mean, it's how you're performing and what you're comfortable with for sure. I mean, if you're in the gym, you're kicking 85-pounders asses. I might have you bulk up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's where your style presents itself, how it feeds into it. I mean, he's a long rangy guy, and so it's if you can maintain that distance, you got good footwork, you're gonna stay up there. It's
yeah.
If it's different. If you're implementing a ground game and you want to be a little bigger, maybe like we can implement that more of it depends on your strong suits. Yeah. If you're a wrestler, you can dictate the pressure and put it on the ground.
Got it.
I think that bulk, that mass helps. If you're long or you're a striker, then you're going to be that rangier type of like methodical type fighter.
Yeah. I like the fact that you looked at him when he said Wonder Boy. You go, oh, that makes sense. What made you say that?
I was moving with him, and he's got a very Wonder Boy
like a karate stance,
style.
or what is it?
It's karate. He's karate. He's switching and moving a little bit. But you got to get those feet moving like Wonder Boy, and then you'll be flying.
Yeah, I mean,
your hands are there. You can see that Wonder Boy's up here.
Yeah.
He's so good. Wonder Boy's so good because he's just like he's in and out so quick. His feet move so cleanly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. Striking's plan C really on my priority list. I started out a jiu-jitsu guy. So wrestling's probably a close second, got to get him to where I want to be. And then, I just got to be good enough on the feet to get him to want to grapple and then, get him to where I want to be on the jiu-jitsu side of things. But yeah, I mean, I flew out there for like 3 weeks. I lived out in South Carolina, just in a shitty little hotel. They told me it was the one that people go to when they like can't pay their rent. But it had like a little stove and all that. I lived out there for 3 weeks. And I go out there a decent bit, like every camp, just get different sparring in. And I really, I'm super thankful for Wonder Boy and the team, and his dad, helping me really tune up like a lot of the fundamentals. I feel like my striking was all right, but I had some fundamental issues. And I mean, that's what they're great at. Those karate guys, just like literally like putting the reps in, like same as you would for anything else. And I mean, it was super great.
Yeah. How do you, what type of takedowns you kind of go for wrestling or you kind of like judo? What's your style?
I mean,
where do you, I mean, if you're primarily a takedown artist, I mean, a ground specialist, that's the controversy I would see with striking, like especially like Wonder Boy style. It's not really meant for takedowns. Whereas as Machida was like so clean in these step throughs and these step behinds, and the way he put together his judo and his wrestling kind of style with the karate was so effective. Whereas like Wonder Boy style is not going to be as effective. It's hard to transition from that stance, from that movement, back into takedown game. So I would just like to see your point of view on how you attack it.
I mean, like I said though, like best case scenario is fighting long, but my lightweight debut last May, I put up I think like the third most strikes in lightweight history for a fight. So you know,
like to brawl, right?
That's what I was saying. Is like ideally I'm trying to stay long, but even like Dominic Cruz, like the last little interview you do with the commentators or whatever, he was like, you say you want to strike long, but then you're always in there like brawling. Like what are you doing? Where's the disconnect? But again, like that's where I want to be, is like, stepping through. I actually I fractured my elbow before that fight, and I was like, fuck, I'm not going to throw any elbows. And then like immediately I just kept hitting them, standing and all that, like trying to enter on the takedowns. I think I broke off a little chip, but is what it is. But I feel like I use the elbows and all that. Like I love a lot of body lock stuff. Just because I feel like being so tall, it's harder for me, at least not being as good of a wrestler, like off the bat. Like I didn't start out wrestling. It's harder for me to get in on those low shots. So I try to do a lot more upper body stuff. That's just easier for me. And I feel like being longer, like it helps, helps for back take stuff, all that. I don't know.
Yeah, drag him down. Of course, Greco is all about leverage, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
get in there and get a hold of him. But check Machida out. I mean, if you're fighting like that, like I was with you out there, is like the way he steps in and out was so gangster back in the day.
Yeah,
he did
check
really
him out.
well.
Yeah, I did love the machine, like Lyoto, because we had him on the podcast.
Little
Lyoto Machida
shizzy.
style. It's like he has that really cool, like that. I think TJ Dillashaw called it kicking the can. The way he would do that front kick, he has such a cool flow to him. You always talk about flow and inflammation in your body and like staying healthy. I feel like Lyoto Machida is like one of the first guys that bring this cool flow to the UFC, where like him and Anderson had this like really cool look to them, like when they would fight. I mean, you fought him too. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you felt it, but
I mean, I was watching Machida way back in the day in Pride.
Yeah.
and I was a fan of Machida's. He was like he had his little baby fat back then, but he had his thing. Machida was always a thing, man. He was in the game for a long time. He had a lot of flow. I mean, he was flowing that pee-pee. And,
Yeah.
and
is that true?
Absolutely.
Is it really true that he say the story for the people at home?
Machida drank his own piss.
Why?
I can't exact remember like
Is
why.
it 100% confirmed though?
They say it like
Don't spread
it's-
rumors.
It's 100% confirmed. I think I just saw him do it in karate combat with the guy.
I mean, if
Why
I mean,
did he drink his own
how it
piss?
like purifies your system or builds your immune system or something. I don't know, man.
if
So
you
he-
told me I could fight like him by drinking my own piss, I'd give it a shot. That's all I'm saying.
You're telling me that if I go piss in a can right now, I'll be able to beat up Luke Rockhold? All I gotta do is drink it?
Yeah, drink it.
I don't know if I could take that. Yo, so you're 2 fights into your lightweight UFC campaign. You're on a roll right now, right? You look good. You look healthy in there. Like Luke said, you have a good flow. You have good style. The sub with the rear naked choke, like you know what you're doing out there. That's for sure. So everybody who is on the internet talking about a 24-year-old being in the UFC, molly-whopping people, there's nothing they can say now. This division is so stacked, right? We talked about this last night. We were eating dinner. It was like midnight. Picked them up from the airport. This division is ridiculously stacked. It's probably the most stacked division in the UFC. What fight do you need to get you into the rankings? What fight do you want? Like Luke always says, like, who is it that you want to fight? Like, what's on the radar for you?
Honestly, I kind of, and it was funny hearing you talk about it earlier, but like how you hate guys that are so indecisive and like don't know what they want, that type of thing. And I kind of agree. Like you have to know where you want to go and like what I think what suits your style best. Like MMA math never really works out, but you want to find these fights that make the most sense for where you're at right now. And I feel like while I'm still, jiu-jitsu is my number one thing. Everybody knows that. If anybody's going to fight me, that's probably the one thing they're going to try to avoid. Wrestling is meh. Striking is meh. So I'm trying to build those other two sides. So I want to fight these other jiu-jitsu guys. There's 2 others actually.
So yeah.
All right, I got the names. Don't worry.
Oh, hello.
Hey, I don't like this dream. By the way, he's got this appeal to him, like the facade. It's like the dream. This kid was fighting before he was 18. This kid's nasty.
Yeah,
He's
100%.
hoop nasty.
Hoop nasty.
I don't think
you
that,
just got a
the
new
wrong
name.
perception. I think we're going.
Yo,
hoop
Loco,
nasty.
I think we just got him a new name. We need to file the trademark on Hoop Nasty. That is an amazing name. You should
Hoop
put that
Nasty.
onto merch.
All right. Well, it started off as the Teenage Dream, like the Katy Perry song.
Yeah.
Just because I was, I'm still
would pick a
awkward.
teenage.
But I was like a dork,
Katy
Hey, you're
Perry
not
song.
though. Hey,
Yeah, but you're not. You're like a weapon, dude.
I grew into it a little more, but it was ironic. I was like a weird, awkward kid, and then they called me for a joke, and then I turned 20. You got to drop the teenage part. Gets a little creepier when you're 24 and you're going by the teenage dream. I got to distance myself from that one at least.
I like it. I like
Nasty.
the awareness.
Hey,
yeah,
nasty.
I like the awareness, dude. When you did the contender series, what does the development contract look like? Like, is it smaller promotions, like Fight Pass? There's all these things that I feel like people are a little confused, like the MMA fans. They don't understand, like, is it the Ultimate Fighter? Is it Contender Series? These are for like the casual fans who are trying to keep up. But a lot of people, when we always ask people in the office and people that are here, like, hey, this guy's coming on the podcast. What do you want to hear from him? And a lot of people are like, hey, how does the Contender Series work? What's different from that and the Ultimate Fighter? How does the structure work? So not to get too businessy, but can you kind of break down how that all worked for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it last night. I was only a professional I was only a pro fighter for 6 months before they offered me my shot on Contender. I think it was like a week after one of my fights. Again, like I mentioned earlier, like I was 18, I was paying all the bills on my own with just the fight money, or me and my wife, she was helping me out. So I had to fight like often. I was fighting every month. So I'd fought like a week before, and then my coach calls me up, 2 hours notice. He was like, hey, there's this guy, he's like 14-5 or something. And I was, 2-0, 3-0 at the time. He's like, I know on paper this looks like a tough fight, but I think you can do it. So I took that fight. We went 5 rounds on 2 hours notice, and I just fought like a week or two before. Super tough vet, as you'd imagine, like 14-5. And then like a week or two later, I got an email from Sean Shelby. He was like, hey, you want to be on Contender Series? And I was like, of course, like 100%, I'll take it. For Contender, they offered me this Hawaiian kid, Kanan Kawai. We went to war. He fucked me up the first round. Like, it's funny because Jens Pulver's actually like family friends with my girls, like daddy kind of grew up together and all that. And I was talking to him when I got the fight, and he was like, oh, you're fighting a Hawaiian. Like, you got to know, first round's tough. First round, it's going to be tough, and then the last 2, he's going to gas. And that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
He got tired of beating the shit out of me, and then, the next, I think they said...
He went 5 rounds on what notice? You said 2 days notice?
2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours.
He had 2 hours. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I would... To be young again.
Yeah. They offered me...
It takes me 3 months to get ready for 5 rounds.
They offered me $2,500 flat, and I was like, that's a lot of money for me at the time, so I did it. But... yeah, no, that Hawaiian kid, he got tired of beating me up for 5 minutes. And then, I beat him up the last 2 rounds, got the win. UFC was like, hey, we're not going to sign you directly. We're going to give you a developmental deal, which I don't even think they do it anymore. But I essentially was getting paid UFC money. Like I started out like 10-10 or whatever to fight on the Fight Pass shows.
Oh, wow.
So I fought CFFC, Island Fights, Titan FC, all that. So I fought on their shows, which was nice. It was kind of like a little ramp up from like the local casino shows.
Are those UFC events though?
It's like
promotion. It's like a feeder league.
Yeah, like they stream on there. So it's literally a direct, like you were saying, like a direct feeder show into UFC. So I was fighting those guys. I had 3 fights on there. I fought this Cuban kid in my last fight. And then, they were like, hey, you want to make the UFC debut, that type of thing. And then, it's all history from there.
So your contract went from there. When you got in the UFC, did you renegotiate, or like how were you at that point? That's what the Contender Series are built a certain way to where like people get wrapped up for a while, and sounds like you did pretty well.
Yeah. So I was actually on my second contract by the time I made my UFC debut. And then, I fought this Swedish kid, one of the strongest dudes I've ever fought. He was like, he must have been like 5'3", 5'4", but he was just stacked. And he squeezed my head, my head and arm so hard, it popped my collarbone here. So now like I could feel it like rubbing all the time, because it doesn't, like, they're not going to do anything for it. But that was a hell of a fight. And then they gave me Caceres for my next fight, and I was just like, please don't let me get knocked out on TV, But
Caceres, that's a grappling match though, right?
I
would think you guys would get into one, right?
Caceres is a crazy good stand-up.
Yeah.
He's got a ton of highlight knockouts.
Yeah, I've seen he's got but he plays a lot on the ground too, right?
Yeah. I was hoping he would, but no, I was 20 at the time. It was just he was a lot better than me on that night. That was his like 20th UFC fight on my second one, so it was a hell of a step up in competition. But I feel like I'm settling into UFC now. Like
24.
I never thought I'd get used to it, but I'm used to the rigors of it. Like you're going in there, you do all the media stuff, you do all that. Like I know how the week goes, I know how all the preparation goes, the weight cut. It's down to a science now, which makes it a lot easier than when you're getting in there, you're starstruck by like, oh, here's Max Holloway, here's Damian Maia, here's all these guys. How am I in the same promotion as them or whatever? And then you kind of settle in. I think that's what it's all about.
How many fights you got?
My last one with Jordan Levitt with my 8th UFC fight, which is, crazy to think about. Like
No, like fights overall. Like, 8 UFC fights. How many?
8 UFC fights. And then, I think I had 17 pro fights and I did 6 amateur. So was that 23 fights?
Yeah, he's got a lot of fight history. I mean, his TKO, I think it was like the 3rd round or something against Colares, right?
Yeah.
That was an amazing fight because that was the first fight where, it's 2022. You're watching this kid. Everybody's like on the lookout for, and I'm like, all right, this guy's going to come in and do some damage, or is he going to come in and kind of fall flat of this hype? And then it's like, that's the rocket ship that I feel like UFC looks for. Like, can he live up to the hype? And I feel like then you go, to that loss, and then you come back with the 2 wins. So it's like, it's not like you're just some kid who's like, oh, well, now I lost the hype. So no, all right, put me back in the stable. How does that grind, like what Luke's saying, you have all these fights. How does that grind perfect your career? Like, how are you going to have that longevity? How are you looking at that since you're already so many fights in and you're so young?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about, especially like coming in so young. Like I made my UFC debut at 20. I was on Contender at 18. It's about playing the long game. Like a lot of people will get in. They'll be like, oh, I need a title shot right now. I wasn't ready for a title shot at 20. I wasn't ready for a top 10 fight at 20 years old. But now I'm starting to, kind of, again, like I said, like I'm getting used to the UFC and all that. Like that's a huge thing that people really discount. Like a lot of people, 90% of guys don't get more than their first contract. So most people never get used to the rigors of UFC. They never get used to the pressure. That's a different thing than like, I think a lot of people on the outside can't even comprehend it. Like it's a huge pressure, and then you have to just kind of get used to that. So it was, not putting the pressure on myself to be like, oh, I need to be the best in the world today.
Yeah.
I'm training for not just this fight. I'm training for the next, 10 years of fighting, that type of thing. So it's playing the long game, being smart, being intentional, obviously trying to win fight by fight. But again, like, I've had the ups and downs. I think the weight was a huge issue. I'm feeling a lot better at 55. I think I'm performing at the level that I need to start moving up the division here at 155.
What's the key to like your weight cuts? How do you stage those? Like, what do you cutting back your glycogen? You doing like what's the system? You got some professional people help you out?
Honestly, like the Performance Institute has been a huge help, especially going to 45. Those were hella cuts. But at 55, I'm able to do like the Icon meals, who they're with now. So I'm able to do like 3 of those a day, where it's like 1,200 calories, but still enough carbs. Like I'll try to.
So you were cutting 20. Now you're cutting. Where are you cutting from? Where are you like?
Are you talking about water?
When I say where you cut from is
the
like
water cut.
When I walk back into the fight, when I'm training, I train at the fight. The weight I'm gonna fight at. You know what I mean?
Do you really?
I tried to get down to 205.
Wow, that's crazy.
I really tried to stay at that, maybe even a little less sometimes.
But you always walk around in shape though.
I mean, I'm in a little bigger shape, but when I'm in fight camp for 185 pounds, I'm like 215. Then I start to get down to like 210, 205.
Yeah.
And I start to play back and forth a little bit, but I try to stay at 205. But then you cut from there. So it's,
the water
19,
cut,
20 pounds.
I feel like the wrestlers,
maybe a little less sometimes. So where are you at? Where do you stand?
Yeah, I feel like all the wrestlers, they're like the diet. Now, whatever, you guys got to stay in that for the season. So they're like the cut. We're talking about the water, not all the other bullshit. But no, so I get that. Honestly, again, like the Performance Institute really helps out. But yeah, cutting the glycogen, they do like, what is it? Like just protein and fat. Like they don't even have you doing any fiber. Because especially while you're water loading, the fiber like holds onto the water. Yeah. Like it's not going to make your body hold onto the water, but it holds onto it while it's in your system.
Yeah, the glycogen holds like there's a certain amount of muscle that the glycogen contains it in the muscle. You know what I mean? So you take that out. So like when you're really depleting, you're not taking from these, like you've already taken that out. So it's less effect on those crucial organs in the brain. You don't, once you take that water out, it's really hard to absorb back in.
Yeah. I mean, they do such a good job though, helping you out with all that. Like they'll make all the food for you fight week. So it's,
at the PI,
the Performance Institute.
Really?
Yeah.
So like, UFC pays for all that for you. Yeah.
They got a traveling show like on the road. So it's like, why would I worry about doing that myself when I have these people that are a lot smarter than me,
But that's the week of the fight.
Yeah.
Or always, you could go to the PI and they'll always cook for you.
Sort of like you can get the Icon meals, you can go to the cafeteria, but it's not that same like performance food that they're cooking meals specifically for you.
I didn't know that.
I always did outside.
Oh,
schooling.
really?
I always work with perfecting athletes as well.
Yeah.
Got it. And some other people before that, but
So the week of the fight, just to get this straight, you have like a chef and food and like a whole kind of breakdown, supplements, everything from UFC, paid for by UFC to make sure you make weight, you cut weight at the most efficient levels.
Yeah, because I mean, for them, it makes a ton of sense. First of all, tax write-off. Second of all, hopefully you're getting better fights out of it. You know, if these guys are, if they're making weight smart, if they're refueling, rehydrating smart, then you're going to hopefully get these better fights. So yeah, I use them for it, cutting all the salt, just pretty much like meat and then some like avocado, stuff like that. They'll give you a little bit of carbs like the first couple days out there. But then, yeah, like with the water load and the diet change, I'll drop like 10 pounds in that 3-4 days, which is crazy. And then I'll cut the last, 10 to 12 in water, just a sauna like you do.
Yeah. As we look at some of your career highlights so far, one of the ones that I'm trying to figure out is how you won UFC Journalist of the Year 3 years in a row. So 2021, 2022, 2023, like, is this real or is this just you messing around?
It's kind of easy to win when you're the only one on the in the running for it. So it's
where
So
did this
it's real.
come from?
So it's
my
real.
buddies with Fight Pass. I get to do a lot of work with them.
UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah. Like probably the biggest one that people would know about was I got to interview George Masvidal, ask him, why he did that to my dad, whatever. That clip went pretty viral.
Oh, you pretend to be Ben Askren's son.
Yeah, that was like a couple months after my debut.
Have you seen that?
I think I saw
It's
that.
like, why would you do that to my dad?
Yeah. And then
Did Masvidal know who you were?
no, because it was like right after my UFC debut. So yeah, no, it was cool. He's super cool about it. I mean, we weren't sure if he was like going to be pissed or not, but no, he's pretty down to earth guy, and I mean, so are most of the people in UFC. Like everybody knows they're tough. Nobody's really trying to put on that persona. Like everybody's cool. So yeah, for the most part, I've met a couple.
Who do you think thinks they're tough? Who do you think puts on a persona in the UFC? You got a name?
I'm gonna give it to the current man in the UFC.
Yeah.
Oh, for me, I've only met one guy.
Who's gotten you a bad vibe? Who vibed you?
Yeah, who gave you a...
I've only fought one guy that I didn't like in UFC. I was like, this guy's a douche. And, other than that, everybody's been cool. Like Caceres was great. All these other guys that I've fought.
Is this before or after the fight? Because I hate everybody. Before the fight, I don't like anybody.
Really?
Yeah, no, I get that.
I mean, you're fighting. You're taking everything from them. I don't want to like the guy.
For sure. That's like my last fight. I fought Jordan Levitt, who like I hung out with him.
Jordan, is that the guy who does the splits?
Yeah. That was one where a lot of people
you don't want that dude doing the splits on your face.
Yeah, a lot of DMs. People are like, you can't fucking lose to this guy. He's gonna twerk on your corpse. I was like,
He's gonna twerk on your corpse.
That's a lot of motivation right there. But like I've hung out with him in the sauna. Like I've been bullshitting with him. Like
it's getting weirder over here.
Yeah,
twerk on your corpse.
Just a couple of dudes.
Corpse in the sauna, boys. Why are you in the sauna with the guy before you fight him?
That was like literally
when he wants to twerk on you.
That was like months before, because we were at the PI, which is it's like the wolf's den of that. Like you're in there with guys.
You do get stuck in the sauna sometimes, and
Yeah.
when you're cutting weight, fight week, even I got a funny horror story.
I want to hear that. Hold on, we're gonna go right back into that. So you hung out with him in the sauna. Did he try to twerk on you?
No, I mean he's a regular dude. So am I. He's actually married. He's got a wife and kids. But it was just different, like fighting a guy that I know, and like I wouldn't say we're friends, but I would say we were friendly.
We're both 24. We both have wife and kids.
Yeah. You make it sound so normal. Like you're going to war in there.
That's the thing, though, is like it's realizing that like everybody in UFC for the most part, like they got wives, they got families, they got kids, but the way the sport is, like it's cutthroat. Like I can be your buddy after. I'll shake your hand before. I'll never say good luck to people. That's like,
I hate that.
If somebody's like good luck when we're gonna fight, I'm like, oh, so you think you're wishing me good luck to beat you or what? I'll just be like, hey, see you tomorrow. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. And
he's got a few no's and he's got a few yeses, but the good luck is definitely not one of them.
No,
like I'm not wishing you my good luck, bro.
No, I'm not gonna wish you good luck. I'm gonna hope you trip on the way to the cage. Like roll your ankle a little bit.
He's not the dream, man.
Yeah,
he ain't the dream.
Nasty, dude.
Yeah, he's nasty.
Hoop nasty as it comes. Wait, I want to know who you don't like. What happened? You got in a sauna with someone you didn't like?
No, I it was fight week. Back in Strike Force Challenger Series, I think this kid Paul Bradley, and I was cutting weight, and it's a lot of weight cutting. I'm in there like the sauna by myself in this back room in the hotel, the Marriott or something in San Jose, and I'm down to my last bit. I'm almost there, and I'm dying, and there's nobody in there, and I'm like, and I look around, there's no bathroom, and I feel like a little pee, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, where'd I go? And I was like, there's nothing in there. I didn't know how to go. I was just like, Abilene all over me. I'm like, just a little bit. I just put on the rocks. Hey, pee on rocks is the worst fucking thing you could ever imagine. It's unbelievable how bad it smells. It smokes. So the place starts. It's like I thought it was a little bit, and then it turns out it's like, oh my god, it's a little more. And I'm like, you're trying to get any weight off you, you're just desperate to get it, and the place starts going bad, it's smoking like crazy, and I'm like, what the fuck? I open the door, and I'm like, I run up to the gym, and there's nobody in there. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, what am I gonna do? The fire alarm starts going off. The whole place is smoking. It stinks like fucking hell. It's insane, and I was like, I'm fucked. I'm like, the whole hotel's gonna blow. The fire alarm is freaking out. I would just go back into the sauna, put the towel over my head, and just lock in, and just sit there. My manager and the fire department, the people start busting through the double doors, and they're like, everyone runs into the gym. So the sauna's in the back of the gym. Everyone runs into the gym, and they're like, oh, where's that? My coach knows I'm in there, so he's with the fucking officers, and they run in and they just get smacked in the face by the smell. It was just like, what?
What's it smell like?
They're like, oh my god, like what's going on? They don't know what to do. They're opening doors, they're trying to figure it out. It's like a bit smoky, and Bob Cook, my coach, comes to the back and looks into me and looks in the he's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I was like,
it just happened.
I don't know. I just put the towel in my hand. I just sat there and I was like, oh shit. I'm not leaving. I'm cutting this weight. I don't give a fuck.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving.
Cut the weight.
So I was sitting there and they finally aired it out, got it down to a reasonable level. It still stunk like fucking.
What did it smell like?
The whole gym was, it's impossible to tell you.
It's just that crazy smell
You
like asparagus.
You gotta do a call in on Bob Cook and ask him.
we need a call in.
Hey, crazy Bob Cook will tell you. But so anyway, so I sit back in there in the sauna. I'm like, I'm just gonna get the rest of this weight off. They kind of aired out the sauna, so it cooled down. I lost my sweat, so I had to get back in. And sure enough, right as it all comes down, Paul Bradley and his teammates comes stalking in. I'm like, fuck.
The dude you're about to fight.
That dude I'm fighting. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, fuck, it's just me in this one sauna. We're young kids and there's no place else to go. And so he walks in and he's like, his team like, fuck, what's that smell? I'm like, I don't know, man. It's in here. But peace. I'm out. I just made away.
I'm out. I
I'll see you tomorrow night, dog.
Yeah.
enjoy the fucking song. He was just starting his weight cut, by the way.
Is this when you had your Justin Bieber haircut?
Man, I went full Justin Bieber. I used to grow my hair out in Strike Force just to piss people off. No, it was kind of right after that. Right after the Challenger Series, I started making my run for the title. I was like,
I'm coming.
I'm pissing people off.
For UFC 298, I want to kind of run through some fights. I want to see who you think's going to win it. You have Merab and Cejudo. Who do you think's going to win that one?
After Merab in the Jan fight, I'm taking Merab all day. That crazy pace. I mean, if Aljo could beat Cejudo like that, I think Merab's probably even a better wrestler. Crazy pace. I'm taking him all day.
What do you think?
That's a hard one. Jan's getting it hard.
You think
Merab? I think Jan's gotten robbed in so many ways his whole career. It sucks. But
you think Cejudo's better wrestler than Merab?
I think he is. Yeah, definitely. I think Merab is more. He might be more effective in MMA. But I mean, they're both. Yeah.
You think Cejudo still has what it takes, though? You think he still wants it?
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
A lot of people keep saying that. We'll see. Like, no one can believe in the guy, or is it just something when you're that much time off and maybe he doesn't really want it, or what is it? Why does everybody keep saying we'll see? And the guy's won everything. Don't you think he?
I think he's won everything. I think he pretty much won that fight against Aldo too. I mean, it's like it's questionable.
Yeah.
I mean, like what effectiveness and like dangerousness. Like he was.
But he for sure still has what it takes to win.
I think he definitely does.
Yeah. All right, cool.
I think he's stylistically, it's all about matchups, really.
What about
and how he's got a funny style. How he's gotten so good on the feet, he loses sight of his wrestling a bit. So you got to put it both together.
what about Burns or Jack?
Which one? Oh, Burns and
Gilbert Burns,
Della
right.
Mandela.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking Burns. He's just a monster.
Amen.
Like I think he's still got it.
I'm with you on that one. I think Burns is a monster. Who do you got?
Burns is my boy.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about Jack, honestly. I know he's tough. I heard he's a tough guy, but
I mean, he's a phenomenal boxer.
Burns just got to like put himself back in the. He's got to put himself back in the heat of it. You know what I mean? It's hard to keep resetting yourself because he's taken a couple losses, and it's like that drive for the title is it still there? You know, where is he at right now in his mindset? So he's got to go in there like you know, like he's going back for it. That's that. You can't just go in there like you're willing to fight anybody. You know, you have to have that mindset where you're going to the top.
This is a big one right here. We have Jeff Neal and Ian Gary. A lot of hype on Ian Gary right now. The guy's getting a lot of heat from everybody. I'm looking up Ian Gary's record and Jeff Neal as well. I think he wants to kill someone after the way the media has been treating him the last couple of weeks. So what do you think, Jeff Neal or Ian Gary?
I mean, I think Ian Gary probably. I like Jeff Neal. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I was on the debut with him, talked to him a little bit, but I think he's got more of the shorter style of striking where he wants to bang it out all day, but he wants to box more. Where I think Ian Gary's a lot more effective, like rangier. So I think he takes it probably, honestly, kind of similar to how Wonderboy did it, like probably a decision, but I think he probably outpoints him.
Mm-hmm. Who do you got?
I kind of got to see that.
Yeah.
I see that from.
You think Ian Gary's getting a bad rep? You think the media is going too hard on him about his wife and all that nonsense, or you think that they should just leave it alone?
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're fighting in our underwear out here. You can't hide anything from anybody, you know?
The kid with the one-liners today. He's like, you can't hide much. Damn, all right. What about Mackenzie Dern coming back with a big fight against Lemos?
I got to root for Mackenzie.
Nice. I like that.
You know, I got to stick with the jiu-jitsu people.
I like that.
What the Andrade fight was their last one. That was a tough-ass fight. Honestly, I think she just needs to come in and do jiu-jitsu. Like, that's where she started. That's what got her to the dance anyways. That's what got her that high up in the division. So I think she needs to not focus so much on the striking, or at least just enough to get in on the wrestling, get in on the jiu-jitsu. Because she's got some great takedowns too. So I think just focusing on, again, like this shit that got her to where she is.
I like that. I like the mentality.
I like where's that again.
Yeah.
I'll back that up, man.
I like that. I do, as a fight fan, I do like watching fighters that I like for what I like them for. And then when they go in there and you see them do things that they're not really, I don't want to say accustomed to or like good at, but it's not really their discipline of choice. It does throw me off a little bit. Like, why would you even game plan that?
Yeah. Like, nobody wants to go in there and see like O'Malley wrestle the whole time. They're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We want to see you stand up.
Like when a kid comes in here and challenges Luke to a wrestling competition, some D1 college wrestler, this kid was real good. He walked in here and he's like, put his hands up, and Luke's like, no, I'll do what you do. I'll wrestle. And Luke just tapped him out in like 2 seconds. I'm like, that's cool. Luke's like, I'll play your own game.
Well, wrestling, tapping out and wrestling don't go hand in hand. You know?
Yeah.
But I used to love that. I used to love being able to put people to sleep in wrestling. That was like my one thing in high school. Like when I found like chokes that were legal in wrestling. I'm gonna do like this little like schoolyard, like kind of like little duck cradle choke.
Yeah, I like when Cain Velasquez said that your wrestling, your game is amazing, but if someone throws you off, someone pisses you off, like you forget it and you just sit there and want to kill them, and you're like, no, I don't want to do any technique. I just want to sit here and kill them. You're like, I'll play whatever game you want to play. It's like. He's like, there's only one thing that throws Luke off his game. Cain was telling us, he's like, in training, when Khabib and DC and Cain would all train, Luke would go in there all pissed in the morning. Someone like hurt him or did something to him the day before, and he'd be like, all right, let's go. Whatever you do, I do. I kind of like that about you.
Like you said too, like you gotta have the fight in you.
Yeah.
The fight in you takes you long ways.
Hey, actually, I just read the other day while we're talking about this, before we go into Volk and Ilya, I heard that one time Khabib kicked you in the face, like when you guys were sparring, and so you asked him to fight him in the parking lot. Is that true?
You know.
So did you and Khabib ever really fight in the parking lot at AK?
It was it was a thought. It was a thought.
Wow. So there's rumor to the truth. Wait, and the second thing that I wanted to ask you actually, now
Mostly
that
in
we're
the
on
parking
camera-
lot. I was so pissed that I think I took Khabib. Khabib like showed up and I was like, who is this kid? And it was kind of Khabib like showed up by himself, really, by the gym. Like I think he was friends with Mo or something. And then this tough Russian kid just running around the gym, just cracking, just had it in him. I was like, I like this kid. I was like, he's tough as nails. And I was like, I took him on my program and I was training for a fight and he was getting ready and we started just doing bike nights together and doing sprints in the parking lot. And this little fucking Russian was just fucking out sprinting me. And I was like, what the fuck? he's just such a determined individual. So, I took it easy on him in the parking lot.
And the second thing about the Khabib thing, I heard that, and I just heard this because we were looking up some stuff about him, and I was reading about grapplers and stuff. I heard that when Khabib first came from Dagestan, you and DC were training. DC was using you as like a training partner for a fight. Khabib was wrestling and like smoking everybody in the gym. You and Kane were sitting like on a heavyweight bag on the floor, and you told everybody to leave the gym so you and Khabib could get a few rounds in, just you two, and you guys went at it. Is this true?
Oh, me and Khabib,
Like his first week?
me and Khabib constantly gravitated towards each other. He'd try to pick him like when I'd be
Yeah, I heard he was
bullying
bullying you.
he'd try to jump on my back and just try, it was like, come on, brother. He's coming again. I was like, yeah, I grab him when he's, you gotta take him while they're down.
So he would try to bully you in the gym. You weren't having it.
We both went both ways. Trust
love
me.
it.
We took him.
No, I can imagine.
You got to take advantage of the weaknesses.
Yeah.
It makes you stronger.
Yeah, and respectfully, I love the fact that you still have a lot of respect for him. I think that's awesome. I still think he should come back, but the guy doesn't want to come back. I don't know why. What about Volk and Ilya? What do we think as we wrap up this podcast? We got one or two more things left I want to touch on.
That's a tough one, man. Volk is Volk. He's. I mean, obviously, we saw a bit of like his human in him. His last fight. This is one of the toughest matchups I could see for him ever. Matched up wise, this kid is nasty, and we'll see how well Ilya can wrestle. See how well he can get up off his back, and how well he can take the shots because Volk brings it on every level.
Yeah, I think we'll see how smart Volk was in his recovery after the knockout from Islam. Like you really have to take time off sparring. Like he jumped into this fight really quick. He was like, hey, keep me active, keep me busy, which I get that. I get wanting to get back in there and get the win back. But after getting like knocked out cold, like you need to take some time off. You need to let your brain recover, especially when you're going to fight a guy like Topuria that's a power striker. Like he's in there to bang. He's in there to knock guys out.
Nice.
So that's, I think, one of the most dangerous fights for him for sure. So we'll see how well he's recovered from that fight. I think if we get the Volk that fought Max Holloway last, I think he takes the win.
Yeah.
If we get the Volk that's still, trying to recover from that, brain trauma, I think Topuria can catch him.
He's not going to be the Volk that's trying to recover. The Volk is a certain type of man. He's going to put it behind himself. You know that in Volk, but you just got to truly believe it. So
you think he's a pound for pound one of the best ever?
I mean, it's hard not to deny that at this point.
You think so?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
what he's done already.
Yeah,
what's
for
his
sure.
one loss
Yeah.
is to Islam, or
Yeah.
two, right?
2.
But
First one was an amazing fight. Second one was just a nasty.
yeah, that was
He
super.
Nasty
took
knockout.
it on short notice.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been done. But
Yeah, I think that fight they should have built that one up more.
No, I love it. So
But-
listen, I want to say, first of all, for a 24-year-old kid, this is a hard dynamic to come into and just jump into a podcast and sit and listen to us two rattle at you. And you've been out here all day and the night before. And even for the fans at home, I hope they see the appreciation for the fight game you have, but also the respect, the honor you have, the way you walk around and talk about people, the other professionals that were in here, the legends that were in here. We had Ken Shamrock, Lyoto Machida, you, Rampage Jackson. All these guys are legends here, and you're still active and you're coming to the height of your game. You still show so much respect for people. A lot of kids your age don't. They walk around with an air to them. And I really do feel that level of respect you have is a reason why you'll be a superstar in this game. Obviously, the Napoleon Dynamite hair helps because it's a very unique look. But before we go, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming.
Before we go, who do you want to disrespect? We didn't really get to it.
Disrespect
in
or,
the cage.
or who do I want to
Who
fight?
do you want to disrespect in the cage? It's a disrespect. You're gonna disrespect him in the cage. You're gonna punch him in the face. You're gonna try to kick him in the face.
Yeah.
He's saying
Who do you want to
smash?
disrespect?
in the most respectful way
Who do you
possible.
want? Who do you want to smash?
No, I actually we're trying to see about these two names.
Who's a fun fight too? I mean, it's like you
Yeah.
want to pick fights that are like obviously favor you, but are gonna make you look good too.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, that's the game. It's manifest destiny.
That's-
what
yeah.
if you have a vision to be at the top, you know you can see a line of sight of what you want.
That's what I really liked about the Jordan Levitt fight. Like I'd wanted that fight for a while. Because again, like he's a jiu-jitsu guy, so am I. Like I want a guy that's gonna try to attack me and like try to submit me.
So-
You know, so
So
I want to fight more of those jiu-jitsu guys. There's a couple names I have, and I will.
What you like?
One I think is more likely. Claudio Pueyes. Let's see. He knee barred Clay Guida. I calf sliced Clay. He also beat Jordan by decision, where I subbed Jordan. So I think that's a great fight.
how do you finish him?
How did I finish who?
How do you finish this kid?
He likes a leg lock. So I think honestly,
Just pound him in the face.
yeah, I mean, we'll see. I like
Good leg lock defense.
I
The
like-
best leg lock defense is
Spend a week with Nicky Rod in Austin. He'll teach you all the leg lock defense you need.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm a little bit of a leg lock guy myself, not as much as
Yeah.
You know, I got the first heel hook I think at featherweight, but you know, I think my defense is good enough. Probably just try to do him like Dan Hooker did, you know, beat him up on the feet. Because that's what I love doing. I
he's got
love
the liners, dog. Hey,
love it, dude.
can we put in a little compilation?
Yeah, dude. Do him like Dan.
I love
Who else do you want to smash in the ring?
you know, the other one, it's I feel like a dork calling for it, but everybody has his name in their mouth right now. The Patty fight, I think, makes a lot of sense.
Wow, that's a great
not right
one.
now.
You should have started with that. That's a
Yeah.
great
Bro,
one.
you're
Yeah,
the
what do you
best.
mean?
You're the best looking matchup. You're like
Yes.
your look and his look, and the styles. It's you know it's a good
So
grappling.
you
match.
want Patty the baddie?
Yeah, but I
think he's
think
over-
But it could
overrated?
be that could be a stand up
Yeah,
fight
you
too.
think he's overrated?
You guys could end up in this is the kind of fights where like you know you end up with like two guys, and two guys who got the best looks. That'd be a great fucking fight. I love that so much.
yeah.
Let's make that fight happen.
Yeah.
I thought if Patty would have lost to Tony, I think that fight probably could have got brought up because I don't think a lot of people look at me on paper and are like, this guy's dangerous. They're not like a you know, like a Jeremy Stevens, not like an Ilya Topuria type guy. Like I'm not a knockout guy. I'm not coming like to take your chin off. So I think a lot of people are like, oh, you know, like if he's gonna beat me, he's gonna like sub me out, whatever. So I think a lot of people would take that over, you know, getting their chin knocked off. But I think if he lost to Tony, that fight probably would have been a lot more likely. But I think they're probably going to try to feed him whoever in the top 15 they think he can beat.
Really?
I think UFC is really trying to push him. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, they want to push him because he's controversial now. He was like, now he's like, but like, I don't know. I don't really see the kid believing in himself like that.
Patty the
To really want to fight someone bad. Like he might take. Tony was an opportunity.
Yeah.
it's a name on a falling side of he's not really got it anymore. So it's like,
Yeah.
that was a great fight for him to come in there and do his thing. But
And he didn't even look good against Tony.
who does he fight? Who does
Wait,
Pat?
wait,
who
wait,
does-
hold on. We're not jumping over that comment. He didn't even look good against Tony. Why?
Yeah, I mean, he gassed. Tony almost finished him in the third.
Jesus.
If Tony had been able to stay on the feet, Tony would have knocked him out
I think I
or
saw a little bit of
TKO'd.
Yeah, Tony.
You know?
I mean, but listen, Tony is old, and Tony's still got a little juice in him. But I don't know
Yeah.
if he should still be fighting.
Tony's a gangster. He's an OG.
He's the best. He's one of the best to ever do it, hands down. His reign, his undefeated reign, was one of the best undefeated reigns ever.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a monster. No one was coming for him, especially with those angel wings on his back. He's like Saint Michael himself from Boondock Saints, coming down and annihilating people. But hey, so you really do think Patty the Baddie's overrated?
I mean, I think he's overhyped. I think UFC's trying to push him. They love that UK audience. The UK audience loves fights, and they need some guys to get behind. That's why they're pushing him so hard. I think he is getting pushed more for that than for his, you know, fighting style. Again, like he fought Jordan. I finished him quicker. I finished Jordan quicker than Patty did. And you got to give the fact to Jordan that Jordan fought him at the O2 Arena. He fought Patty in his hometown. So that's got to be crazy pressure. Where I fought Jordan in his hometown. You know, I fought him with, you know, his family there and all that. So it's, you know, that pressure changes, you know, but I fought, you know, smarter. I fought quicker. I finished the guy quicker. I think I could match up well against him.
This guy is the most media trained 24-year-old I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yo,
If I were to go back through it again, I'd probably defect to Canada and just get the whole support of the country. You know what I mean? Like you said, like the UK needs a star.
back to Canada.
Hey, like you
Wait,
know, like
what?
Dude, you got to be strategized. You got a whole country behind you. It's like Canada is starving for someone, dude. Look at how hard they
They just went 7-0 this last UFC. They lost all seven UFC
That's what I'm saying. Hey,
that were Canadian.
We haven't had a fight go back to Canada for 5 years. I mean, it's about the backing that you have. So it's like. Just like
you and GSP do look alike too.
You're like, hey, I want to be a girl. I want to be a boy. Hey, I want to be Canadian.
Yeah.
Hey, why can't you just say you want to be Canadian? You shouldn't even have to live there. You just say you're Canadian and then get the whole support of the country. And then you start getting the fights you want. Hey, I'm just saying.
That's fair. Maybe I'll be
fair.
Canadian. I'm pretty close, but people really
jump up there.
Just pick a country and get the whole support.
That's 100. Like Cheeto's got all of Ecuador.
Yeah.
Cheeto's a god in Ecuador. No pun intended.
Yeah, look at McGregor. Irish, like he had the whole damn country.
Yeah, that's a smart.
The English are crazy. It's like you just defect.
This guy's becoming so intelligent ever since he started doing the podcast. Nice, humble, elegant, very graceful, nice to people. I mean, dude, you're a whole new person this year.
Yeah.
I'm liking this.
I'm coming back as a girl fighter from Canada.
Oh, gee.
I'll support you. As a fellow Canadian, I'll support you.
Before we wrap up, though, I got to ask you this. Did you see that Holly Holm is coming back?
Did
you see that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see that weight cut.
Why?
How does that girl make weight?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she looks like she's bigger than me.
Did you see her next to Poirier? And Poirier walks around 85, 90, and she looked not that far off from him. She's similar height.
Yeah.
Similar like build.
Well, the PFL has amazing ways of like just, I don't know, maybe hiding talent or something. Like this girl should have been 10 times more popular. Like when she comes to the UFC, she's going to explode in popularity. I mean, Holly Holm's going to have a hard time with her.
Yeah.
As long as she performs.
I think
she's a beast. I mean, it's like that. It's got that cyborg.
She'll perform.
It's got that cyborg effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When
She
cyborg
has
first came in.
build. Her arms are bigger than me. Her neck's bigger than me. Like she has a crazy build. Holly Holm's going to have a problem with her. And I like Holly Holm. I think she's amazing. I think she's one of the best women fighter ever. But as a female fighter, having a fight, I don't know. I don't want to get deep in that because
I want to know what the weight class is. There's got to be something because like if that girl does not walk around. It's 100. She's got to make 135 pounds.
Yeah. And Holly's got a good manager.
She was fighting at 145, or was she?
No, 55. I think in PFL.
Jesus,
55.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like this girl, the likelihood of her making weight, it sounds out of control.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
But
it is another great fight that they're stacking. These
might need to call. I might fly Holly in for this one. Let's get Holly on the list.
I DM'd her and she was like, "Yeah, I'm in." I was just talking to her. I got to get her on this thing for sure. Listen, I want to say thank you for coming out. I know you're getting ready. You're staying in shape. You have a fight coming up. I want to say thanks to Luke for stepping in as always. Rampage is I think back in Vietnam chasing girls or something. He loves to either go to Shibuya or Vietnam for his vacations. But I do want to say thank you. But last thing before we go, why is this some sort of rumor or what is it? But I heard that you were there or someone told you, and I'm just saying this from an anonymous source, that you were at a fight and Rampage Jackson had to beat up a guy who was working a hot dog stand.
All right. So this was told to me by somebody that was there.
I didn't make this up.
Because this was like 2000, 2001. So I was a baby. I was 1 or 2 years old.
Yeah.
But they said it was either Gladiator Challenge or what's the other one? King of the Cage.
King of the what?
King of the Cage. They said like Rampage's guy fell out, and then they were like, "Hey, we got him a fight. We got him a fight," and it ended up being the dude. And you'd have to ask him about this, but I heard it was the dude that was like running the hot dog stand. He was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." And as you would imagine, Rampage smashed him in like a round. But I wanted to ask him about that, see if he knew.
Have you got that clarification from Rampage?
Yeah, we're gonna have to find that out tonight. And then I heard that you were the last to stay in the Ultimate Fighter house where Rampage Jackson ripped the door out infamously.
I was in the because my Contender Series season was like season 2 or whatever. So they still had that warehouse. So it was dope. Yeah. It was cool fighting in there and because it's such a small venue and all that. I fought a Hawaiian and they just packed it. There were so many Hawaiians in there. They were so disappointed when their guy lost. But it was cool being in there, seeing that door,
They put a new door there?
They definitely put a new door there. But I don't know if that would fuck with their lease or
told
not.
me you're Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, I fought a Hawaiian kid. I can't pass for much besides just a skinny little white kid. So
This guy's amazing.
That's what they call Howley.
Yeah. This guy's amazing, dude. Hey, listen, I appreciate it. We're going to wrap up now. This is the JAXXON podcast. I want to say thank you to all the fans and everybody out there. We just hit 70,000 subscribers, one of the fastest growing MMA and action sports combat podcasts in the world. We're really focused on combat sports, action sports. Right now, we're really focused on fighters in the UFC and boxers, professional boxers. We have Raul coming, hopefully King Ryan in the next 2 weeks. We have some other great guests. Plus in the UFC, we have Boss. We have some other really huge guests like Ken Shamrock. And we're also going to be working on some current fighters. We have Ian Gary coming on. We have Paddy the Baddy coming on. Tony Ferguson. We have Stipe. So there's going to be some awesome guests in the next couple of weeks. And we hope that everybody that's watching this, just keep leaving comments. Let us know what you think. Help us make this better. We're doing this for you guys. And like always, you can use podcast 15 on jaxxon.com and pick up all your new chains. We just dropped a brand new Cuban 8mm with our brand new class. It's sweat proof. I currently am wearing 2 ropes. I know Luke's always rocking something. He's got the new cable chain.
I like that.
And then you have the Cuban stack in gold. So everybody is just flawlessly rocking JAXXON, and it goes with any fit. It elevates any style, and it's always a nice little look if you're wearing a black tee, and it keeps you elegant, but at the same time classy. I'm Bear DeGidio. This is the JAXXON podcast. Thanks for watching.